Hi guys, welcome to this video where it's gaming in the background and it's basically me just talking about life. If you enjoy any of those, feel free to stick around. Now, I want to talk about life because I am not happy, and it's not that I'm constantly sad. It's not that I'm depressed like at all, but I am not really enjoying life as much as I want to be, I guess. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I'm not as fulfilled in life as I want to be. And it's mostly in my free time, especially is when you notice this, where there's so much, at least for me, that I want to do, but I never really work on it. And I think most of all, I constantly feel stressed. I am constantly stressed even in my free time, and it's affecting the way that I am enjoying life. And this is something that I think what I'm trying to say is that is what I'm not happy with. That what you want is after work, when you get home and you have free time, you want to be able to spend that on things that you really want to be working on spending time with your loved ones, and just being free in your own time, doing whatever the hell you want. But in my free time, and this has to do partly with my education, and I'll get into that in a second, but I constantly feel stressed, and I find that I have trouble working on the projects that I want to be working on. And even in my free time, like for example, if I wanted to start gaming, I would have trouble starting that. I would just be mindlessly watching YouTube videos instead of starting to game, which would be, gaming, that would be satisfying, I guess. I would have fun with that, but somehow I have trouble even even starting that. And yeah, that's something that I've been noticing the past couple of years, basically, where sometimes it just feels like life it goes by on autopilot. And that's something that I've noticed and that I am really not happy with, where when I get home from work, you have a certain number of hours of free time, and somehow I never really spend those hours how I want to be spending them. And then at the end of the day, I look back on it and I think, well, I didn't really do anything that I wanted to do. So yeah, that's that's a fun start. That's right out the bat. As I said, I'm not constantly sad, and I'm painting a really bleak picture of myself. That's not true at all. I'm having a lot of fun with other activities, so it's sort of a mix. But especially that idea that after every day when I look back and I realize that I really didn't do anything that I wanted to do, that's something that I really want to change. Among other things, especially with the feeling stressed constantly, that's something that I want to change. And I think what sort of hit me recently is that with that feeling of going through life on autopilot, it hit me that I keep going through life on autopilot, and if I keep doing that, this is never going to change. This feeling of not being fulfilled, not doing the things that I want to do, if I keep going through life on autopilot, this is not going to change. And that's something that really it stuck with me, because it's something that at least for me, it's something that I'm afraid of. I'm 27 now, and I think what I'm afraid of is that I'll be 50 later. Like, I'm 50, and I never really started working on those things that I wanted to change, and I just kept going through life on autopilot, and looking back on when I'm 50 or 70, and I look back and I think, I never changed any of it, and I'm not happy with my life in general, So that's why I wanted to start this. I've tried to start it in a number of ways, actually, but I guess I never found the courage to post it on YouTube. I started it like in a video project. I had a whole script and I had it filmed and everything, but somehow I never uploaded it to YouTube. I guess I was just scared of any backlash or criticism, or just putting yourself out there in general. So that's why I chose this format. It feels a bit safer, especially in the beginning. So I might change that later. You might see my face later, but right now this feels like a safe place to start. where I can start the projects. As you can see, this is on YouTube, so I did I did post it, which is a big step for me, but it allows me some form of safety. So you'll have to apologize, or you'll have to forgive me for that. But yeah, I think one of the things I found out is a number of reasons why I'm not happy. There's two that stick out to me a lot. There's probably more, but they're smaller. There's two that really stick out. The first one of those is that, as to me right now, it feels like I don't really have a direction in life. And this, especially to people of my age, or maybe even younger, this may seem very familiar. Because you see all those big stars, and it feels like they were put on this planet to do a certain thing, you know. Some kid, like, they wanted to act since they were 3 years old. Well, I didn't have that. When I was 3 years old, I probably wanted to be an astronaut or something. But I didn't have anything like, this is the one thing that I want to do with my life. I had a lot of different things, but none of them that I was really fully committed to. And right now, where I'm at right now is I'm in my final year of my education. I'm studying psychology, which I find incredibly interesting, absolutely. But what I learned during my study of psychology is that I don't want to become a psychologist. That is probably not the revelation you're looking for when you're studying psychology. Now, of course, there's a lot of different things that you can do with psychology, like research. And of course, another thing I found out during my education is that I don't really want to become a researcher. So yeah, that's the two biggest things. So I'm studying psychology. I'm in my final year. Probably gonna graduate this year, and then I'm done graduating, and I don't really want to become what I've been working my whole life to become. You know, I'll be a master of psychology when I get my master's degree, but I don't want to become a psychologist or a researcher, and I haven't really spent that much time figuring out, well, how do I want to apply psychology then? Because I do love psychology in itself. So yeah, I think you can understand the idea of completing a whole education and then finding out that this is not what you want to be doing for the rest of your life. That can be very stressful, especially at the age of 27, which is, I think it is a bit older to complete your education. So I'll be 27, I've completed my education, and I don't want to use that. So right now I'm in sort of a position where I'm like, well, what the hell do I want to be doing with my life? And that's a source of stress, of course. It has to be. Because, well, it just is. If you don't know what you want to be doing with your life, you're sort of aimlessly wandering around. So that's one big part of my life right now, is that I don't really have a direction. I don't have a purpose. And another big part of my life of why I'm feeling stressed and not as happy as I want to be is, to put it bluntly, it's fear. Like right now with my education, the only thing that I have left to do is working on my thesis. So my thesis, I have to write it, things like that, fine. So I want to tell you, as an example of fear, I want to tell you about a situation that happened yesterday, actually, where, I have a job to pay for my education. So I do that about 24 hours and a week. And last day I had to work until about 2 p.m. So I get home at about 2:30. And I thought, I've worked 5 hours at my other job. Now I could spend about 3 hours working on my thesis, and then I'll have a nice balance of working 8 hours a day. So yeah, I got home at about 2:30. So in that time, in that whole period of the day, you have 3 hours to work on your thesis. Now I think it was about 9 o'clock in the evening. And in all that time, in about those 6.5 hours, all that I had done was send 4 emails. and it was absolutely draining. Just sending those 4 emails. I had to send emails to the people overseeing my project, things like that, and they weren't the biggest emails like that at all. But I had to send 4 emails, and I spent 6.5 hours just completely stressed, just not enjoying what I was doing. And in the end, I got to send 4 emails, and it's something that I could have done in like half an hour, right? But the reason that it took so incredibly long and that I had to spend 6.5 hours just not enjoying my time at all, feeling very stressed, is because of fear. And those 6.5 hours, you spend a lot of that, at least in my case, I spent a lot of that just watching YouTube videos, constantly postponing what I have to do because it's very scary for me to have to write those emails. So you constantly watch a YouTube video, you'll think after this video, I'll have the energy, I guess, to be able to write this mail. After this video, I'm going to write those mails. And then after that video, you're thinking like, no, I still don't have the courage, the energy to do this. You know what? I'm going to watch another video, and then after that, I'll do it. Well, this goes on for like 6.5 hours. And the annoying thing is that it's just 4 meals. It's something I know other people that would have done this within half an hour and they wouldn't have broken a sweat. So why is this so scary for me? And the reason for me, this is actually a big part of my life, is it's perfectionism. That's something a lot of people say, oh, I wish I had perfectionism because then all my projects would be really good. And absolutely, you do not wish you had have perfectionism. It sucks. It really does. For me, like if I have to write something, it has to be perfect, right? And I feel like I'll be judged extremely harshly on everything that I do. And that's why it takes so much time for me to start writing something. If I have to read articles, like say for my thesis, I'll be very scared that I'll miss something very important. That's an email, by the way. So yeah, it affects me in everything, and it's sort of like constantly keeping you on edge, keeping you stressed. So yeah, that's sort of a situation from last day, where I think it really exemplifies what I'm trying to say, is that moments like that, I could have sent those emails, and say I worked 3 hours on my thesis that day. I would have worked 8 hours in total, and I would have had a lot of free time that I could actually spend doing the things I love. Like if I wanted to game, I could game and not have in the back of my head have to think like, oh shit, I have to work on my thesis. But now I couldn't, so I basically ruined the entire day for myself, and this happens a lot more often than I want it to. So yeah, that's those two, like no direction in life and perfectionism, like fear through perfectionism. Those are really big parts of my life, and it's actually things like that, not enjoying the day because I'm constantly stressing myself out. That is why I wanted to start this project. Because the most important thing for me, I know that if I don't start working on this, if I don't start attacking the problem head on, it's never going to change. And that is something that I'm incredibly afraid of. If I don't, like, I have no direction in life right now. I don't know what I want to be doing. But if I don't start working on that, if I don't start looking for things like what is it that I enjoy doing, how can I apply that to a job, what kind of jobs are there in a field like that, in the field of psychology that might be better suited to me. I've never really worked on any of those, and if I don't start working on that now, I'll just keep going through life on autopilot, and I'll end up in a job that I don't really love. I'll never really do what I want to be doing, and I'll constantly be stressed that I'm not in the place that I want to be, but I'm not working on that, right? And the same with perfectionism. It's something that is affecting me quite a lot, throughout my life. It's something that I have, right? But it's something that can be, if not taken away completely, it certainly can be dumbed down. It certainly can be decreased. It certainly can be brought back to a level where I can just write those 4 stupid emails within half an hour without breaking a sweat. But I'll have to start working on it, right? If I don't start working on it, it'll just constantly affect me, and that is what I want to change. So yeah, it's basically what this project is about, right? It's just working on those things, those problems that I'm having in life, instead of just sort of ignoring that and having them constantly run in the background. I want to actively start working on things, on changing things. So yeah, the whole project and this whole channel maybe might feel a bit selfish because I spend so much time talking about myself right now. But I found that for myself, things like taking a walk or especially talking are really helping for me to straighten out my thoughts, right? So what I want to be doing with this channel is just having very small, I'll call them podcasts, very small podcasts like this, where I just talk about things and straighten these things out for myself. And then what I want to be doing in the future videos is finding out things that might work against perfectionism or against other things that I want to change in my life, like looking on the internet, just taking a walk and thinking about these things, and just reading about other people's experiences and then trying to apply that to my own life, right? And then I want to make videos where I tell about the things that I've tried and what works and what doesn't work. And I think in that way, this channel, even though in the beginning especially it might be a bit selfish, it might be very much about me, can also help you out, right? Because you might have the same thing that I'm having, where you might not be as happy with your life right now, or where you are with your life right now, and you might want to change that as well. Now, the idea that you'll have exactly the same problems as I have, that's probably not the case, right? But the idea behind it is the same, that you might be having things in your life that you want to change, you might be having problems in your life that you want to change. And the idea is the same, that instead of going through life on autopilot and never really addressing those problems, what we're going to do right now is we're going to start attacking those problems head on. So all those techniques that I'm going to start using on this channel, you might be able to use for yourself as well, for what you want to change in your own life. So yeah, if you are interested in that, feel free to follow me. Feel free to follow this channel and see if we can come up with anything that might help you as well. And in the meantime, I hope you'll enjoy, the whole journey that I want to go through for myself, and hopefully, like in a few years, maybe we can look back on this and see how much in that period I've changed. That's what I'm hoping for, that I'll look back in a few years and see, yeah, that's where I was right now, but I started working on this day in, day out, and I've changed completely, and I'm in a different place right now where I'm a lot happier with where I am. So that is what I'm hoping for. I have no idea what is going to happen, but I guess that's the fun part. If nothing happens, nothing happens, but if there is any chance of changing anything, it's by working on them. So that's what I'm going to do. So yeah, if you've if you've come all the way to this part of the video, thank you so much for listening to me rambling. It really does mean a lot to me, and I hope you enjoyed any of this. I hope a lot of it made sense to you, and maybe you could relate some of this stuff to your own life. And yeah, in the next videos, I'll just start trying to work on changing these things, and I hope you'll join me in that voyage. As for now, really, thanks so much for listening to me, and I will hopefully talk to you again in the next video.